When people hear the word Sherpa, they instantly think of superhumans with unbeatable lungs, guides who walk the thin line between life and death at the top of Everest. But once you leave the icy heights behind, when there are no more peaks to conquer, who are they really? What's their life like? The answer isn't found on the dazzling rock faces, but beyond the clouds hanging halfway up the sky, where human breath blends with the freezing cold of the Himalayas. In the Kumbh region, right at the foot of those stone giants, life goes on nearly 4,000 meters up. There are no old forests to take shelter in. It's a land of crumbling rocks and dry bushes clinging tight to the cliffs, a place where the air is so thin, every breath feels like a prayer. The Tibetans call these sacred lands Bayul, the threshold of the gods. And here, under the massive shadow of Everest, there's a small village. They endure. They don't live to conquer the mountain. They live to merge with its heartbeat, without chasing world records or rushing expeditions. Today, we step into a humble stone house to watch the butter tea smoke blend with the morning mist, realizing that simply existing in this vastness is a miracle of breathtaking beauty. Welcome to the land of immortal souls at the foot of Everest. Please, go ahead. May the mountain wind guide us along stone steps worn down by centuries, leading us into a world where time seems to have stopped ages ago. The sun hasn't shown its face yet. Down in the lowlands, folks are still fast asleep, but here in this wooden and stone house, a new day started long ago. The home's built in the traditional Sherpa style, with the ground floor for the animals and the upper floor where the family lives. The walls are half a meter thickness. The windows are small, like arrow slits. It's not that they don't want the light, but each little pane traps a bit of the precious heat during the cold Himalayan nights. The first task in the morning isn't cooking or feeding the animals, it's cleaning. The floor is swept carefully. Everything is put exactly where it belongs. For Sherpas who follow Tibetan Buddhism, having a clean space is the key to starting the day right. If the heart is pure, the house must be clean. If the house is, when the mind is clear, it finds peace. And then the most important morning ritual begins. The Sherpas burn incense made from herbs they gather themselves in the mountains, and roe, pine, and medicinal plants that only grow in this region. The white smoke spreads with a strong scent, filling every corner of the home. This isn't just a superstition, it's their way of communicating with the sky, with the mountain gods who have watched over this valley since the dawn of time. Maybe this is one of the reasons Sherpas have lived here for thousands of years without being swallowed by the Himalayas, isn't because they're stronger than the mountain, but because they know how to respect it. From a distance, the sound of the horn from the monastery on the hilltop echoes deep and strong, spreading across the valley as a reminder that nothing lasts forever. In the dim light of dawn, the monks' red robes quietly appear in the temple courtyard. They're not separate from this world, they're its backbone. The whole village is spirit. The soft chanting blends with the wind, weaving an invisible shield to protect Bayul's land from nature's harshness. The monks' stillness isn't about being cut off, it's like a mirror reflecting the soul of the entire valley. Because here, religion isn't found in books, it's in every quiet breath. The Sherpas follow the Nyingma school, the oldest tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. There, you can see sacred mantras. Carved right into the living rock, long rows of mani stones line the paths. They don't just say prayers out loud, they walk around these stone walls clockwise, using their whole body to perform the ritual. Every painful step of the rocky slope is an act of cleansing both body and soul. In every home, the altar is always the most sacred spot, with bright colors standing out against the gray of the mountains outside. The light from the oil lamps, Jack's butter never fades. They believe life is just a pit stop in the endless cycle of samsara. Not fearing death, they calmly face sheer drops thousands of meters deep every day. When a Sherpa stops at a summit, they don't see a lifeless rock to conquer. They see a giant mandala, a palace for the gods. Before stepping on the white snow, they always perform the song offering ritual, burning juniper leaves to ask nature for permission.
For them, climbing isn't just a sport, it's a pilgrimage to something sacred. Meanwhile, in the kitchen corner, the mother has been at work for over an hour. She's making Jack's milk butter. The process hasn't changed for generations. Fresh milk is poured into a long wooden tube and constantly stirred with a stick until the cream clumps into golden chunks. Every morning, without stopping, even in the coldest winter. The mother's hands never rest from it. True, but watching how he works, you get that it's not a burden, it's meditation. Jack's butter tea is a drink that often makes strangers react the first time they hear about it. Strong black tea, Jack's butter, salt. It's whisked until everything blends together. It sounds like a tough recipe for the taste buds, but imagine being 4,000 meters up, several degrees below freezing, after a hard day working on the mountain slopes. At that moment, this cup of hot tea isn't just a drink, it's life itself. Breakfast here is so simple that someone from the city might not even call it a meal. Roasted corn grown right in the valley, thanks to its mild altitude. Eat up. Barley flour toasted, mixed with butter tea, and shaped by hand. When they finish, they step out of the warmth of the home and the Himalayan slopes appear before them again. If there's one thing the whole world knows about Sherpas, it's that they can walk through the mountains like city folks walk down the sidewalks. It's not magic, not some secret science. Sherpas have lived in the Himalayas for thousands of years, so much that their bodies have evolved to adapt. Bigger lungs, more red blood cells, leg muscles stronger than anything a gym could build. But the most important thing is, they don't just climb mountains, they live in the mountains. That's the key difference. The bamboo basket called namlo is something a Sherpa never takes off their back. They carry it with a strap that goes on the forehead instead of the shoulders. This method helps spread the weight evenly, protecting the spine during all-day hikes. This technique is passed down from generation to generation, not through books, but through the hands and backs of those who walked before. Harvest season arrives, and the whole village heads to the fields. The Sherpas have a tradition called work exchange. Today, the whole village helps one family harvest, and tomorrow everyone goes to another family's house to planting. No contracts, no payments, just the trust built up over generations of living together. Around here, no one can make it alone. Natural disasters, bad harvests, sickness, anything can hit out of nowhere, and when it does, the only thing standing between a family and disaster is their neighbor. Plowing the land here isn't like out on the flatlands. There are no machines, no vehicles that can handle these slopes. They use the sow, a hybrid between a pure jack and a regular cow, a kind of animal bred for this. For hundreds of years, they've had to toughen up for the altitude and be strong enough to plow. Alo, man and animal depend on each other to survive in this harsh land. The bond between man and animal isn't just a tradition, it's the only way to stand against a nature that's never meant to be kind. Because here, geography isn't just scenery, it's a tyrant. If you look at a map, Kumbi isn't just a galley on a flat surface, it's a wrinkle in the Earth's crust pushed up. Up here, almost touching the sky. At this 4,000-meter altitude, where the forests are long gone, it's just rock and wind everywhere. The average slope is usually over 40 degrees. That means there's no such thing as an easy stroll. Every step is a fight against gravity. The land is so poor that there are more stones than fertile soil. To carve out a tiny patch for farming, the Sherpa ancestors had to move thousands of rocks by hand over centuries of patience. But the biggest enemy isn't the slope, it's the sudden weather changes. In just 1 hour, you can go through all 4 seasons. The blazing sun can burn your skin because the air is so thin, but as soon as a cloud rolls in, the temperature drops like crazy, below freezing. The wind in the Himalayas doesn't just blow, it roars. It sneaks through cracks in the rocks, making ghostly whistles that people often mistake for the scream of some beast. Water is a challenge too. When winter hits, every waterfall, it freezes, turning into giant crystal columns that are useless. People have to break the ice and boil it with the little firewood they have just to get a single sip of water. Living here means making a harsh deal with nature. In exchange for the total freedom of the mountains, you have to sacrifice your body. Noon. The body is tired after hours of climbing slopes and working the land, but the fire still needs to be lit. The pot of rice still needs to be cooked.
Lunch is a spicy cheese soup. The sun-dried jack milk cheese is as hard as a rock. When cooked, it melts into the broth, creating a thick, rich mix. They add a lot of crushed red chili. Sherpas don't eat spicy food for fun. They do it to borrow the chili's heat and fight off the cold that seeps right down to the bone. It's served with boiled potatoes and buttery salt. Common ingredients anywhere, but up here at 4,000 meters, they're precious sources of life after a morning of extreme exhaustion on the mountain slopes. During meals, the oldest man eats first, not because of power, but out of survival logic. The one carrying the heaviest load on the dangerous cliffs needs to refuel first. It's an unspoken division of labor to keep the whole family going. Sherpa women don't really know the idea of quitting for the day. They just move from one kind of work to another, from the fields to the kitchen, from the kitchen to from the stable to the fields. Until late at night, while the woman is still cleaning the kitchen and feeding the livestock, the man sits down, not to rest, but to weave baskets. The bamboo basket called namlo that the Sherpa carries on his back every day can't be bought in a store. It's hand-woven, one, by the same person who'll use it. Each basket takes several days to make. Each basket will travel with its owner on hundreds of mountain trips. When it breaks, it gets fixed. When it's no longer... If it can't be patched up anymore, a new one is woven. And on evenings like this, when the hands are busy but the mind drifts, memories tend to come back. He pulls out an old bow and arrow set. The wood's rotted and the string broke a long time ago. It can't be used anymore, but it's still there, like a trace from the days when the Sherpas roamed the mountain slopes. The sunset light starts stretching over the stone walls of the old monastery. There, the young monks debate about philosophy in the courtyard, while the elders quietly spin the prayer wheels. Each turn is a prayer for nature's balance, so the men carrying loads on the cliffs come back safe and sound. And when the sun starts to fully sink behind the mountains, the whole village gathers. No one plans it, no one organizes it, but as soon as twilight falls, people naturally find each other, like light reaching out to light. The big stone steps in front of the houses are the place where the town's stories are told. The elders talk about the harvest, the young ones ask about the weather. Kids run around between the adults' legs. No screens, no speakers, just warm, real, lively human voices, in a way no technology can match. Then night comes fast and cold, like every night up in the high mountains. Everyone heads back home. Doors close, firewood is added to the fire. Another day says goodbye. Nothing special, nothing worth writing about in history books, just one full day, complete in its own way. This little village at the foot of Everest doesn't show up in most travel guides. It's not trending on social media, and the people living there don't need anyone to know about them to keep going. They just live calmly, fully, day by day. Maybe that's the most valuable thing we can learn from a place like this, that patience isn't about waiting, but about understanding. The mountains aren't in a rush, and neither are the people who live with them. Community isn't just a nice idea in a book. It's what keeps folks alive through the winter. Sometimes all someone needs to feel like life's worth it is a campfire, a cup of tea, and a shared meal of boiled potatoes. And somewhere among the highest mountains in the world, a small village still wakes up every day, just as quietly as it always has. Hundreds of years. If stories like this make you want to explore more remote corners of the world, subscribe to the channel to join us on our upcoming trips.